this man spirit and stopped me from concentrating on what I wanted to explain. And for momentarily, a couple of seconds, that made me aware of a lady's presence as well. So basically, you know, it just blocked what I wanted to say.
Because it's interesting, isn't it, how as soon as you can shut it off and then you can open up, and as soon as you open up, that's when things happen.
Yes, I mean, you can't control it. You know, if they want to make some kind of conscious link, any spirit person, they can do this. If they come close enough, like they did up there, I mean, it was a first for me how he actually did it with me.
Did you get any names at all?
I actually, as I'm walking down, I got, now that I'm in this energy now, because it's got something to do with this particular spirit man, maybe more so than the lady, because I feel that he's come this way. He's come this way on a number of occasions. Why he wants to come this way, I can't ascertain that at the moment.
Right.
But it's as if, you know, I want to move a little bit further up with this energy, because I just know he's come through.
What was I going to say? Phil, in the baseline experiments, was there actually anything here that showed up at all, or was it all quite quiet?
Well, what we've got to be careful of is that there's a power cable that runs across the roof, which is picked up on the EMF detector. But apart from that, nothing. And I've just done the temperature readings again, and they're virtually the same as when I did the baseline tests.
And also you can hear, I don't know if you can hear it at home, you can hear a constant, well not constant, but a rumbling, and you've got to remember, you know, there are trains.
Yeah, there are trains nearby.
Okay, so when you say you want to go up here,
just
up
as
the
far as
stairs?
the stairwell, to the top of the stairwell, and I just want to see whether his energy, it has been here recently, I just know it. Although, if I ask Sam a little bit about the soul, okay, I felt when I was upstairs, just for a couple of seconds, as if I was going through an experience, what this man actually went through. And, you know, it sounds silly, doesn't it? But here, this is all brickwork. But I felt as if this man actually drowned, because it's as if I was coming up for the last time, and I'm choking, and he just drowned. And he couldn't get out, but he couldn't get it. And yet, I come here. And for some reason, I know this spirit comes on a regular basis from up, right down into this basement area.
Right.
I don't know what is the reason why he's coming here. He didn't lose his life here.
But he likes to come here.
He likes to come here.
What's the connection, do you think, with the woman?
Oh, I know. Sorry, Evie. That's better.
Okay. When you do
I'm
that.
sorry. No, it's just the energy that comes in. As you ask that question, sometimes it prompts, and I feel he's trying to answer in his own way, because his energy is close. The reason why he comes here was because, in its use of, I feel, I don't know, storage or what have you, that this man came down here. He was used to either doing something down here where storage was concerned, but where he lost his life, maybe he shouldn't have been. So I feel when he lost his life, his first inclination was to come back down. I get something to do with, you know, I push something up with this man, his energy. Now, what the heck is this? Sam, what is it? It's, yeah, okay. The only way I can describe it is this man, in his process, would put things into something on this level, and then, I don't know, it's like he puts it in, he stores it, and up it goes onto a higher level.
Can I just stop you there? I think it might be quite a good time now to actually go back to David and Richard Felix, because I know for a fact that there is a link with what you're talking about with the water.
Is that?
Yeah, we won't say now. I think it's quite good if Richard Felix can actually talk about that, David.
These are the elements that are at play here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yvette, amazing stuff. Richard Felix, as usual, jumping up and down on the sofa. Let me just take you through a couple of those points that Derek mentioned there in the opium den. Firstly, this drowning. I saw, obviously, this scrolling thing. Tell us about the drowning incident.
On the very top of the building was a very, very large water tank. I hope it wasn't drinking water, but I really don't know what it was. And, of course, the staff used to go up there. They used to sunbathe on the roof, and they used to use the water tank for swimming in. And unfortunately, one of the staff drowned in the water tank. They lost him for 4 days, and he was actually in that tank for 4 days. That's why I say I hope it wasn't drinking water.
Well, it would have been.
I would think it probably was.
Yeah. Very unpleasant.
And I presume that he was a member of staff, probably worked down below in the basements and still haunts the area where he originally worked, of course. And this business of
And you also mentioned this pushing something. He keeps saying he puts something in and it goes up. He puts something in and it goes... What is he doing?
Absolutely right. It's a dumbwaiter.
Right?
A lift, of course, for loading food, because the kitchens were down there, of course, and the food would be transported upwards in what was called a dumbwaiter. It was a form of lift. And all the food went up to the next level and then was taken to the restaurant.
And of course, this hotel is very unusual because it was I think it was the first London hotel to have an ascending hydraulic room, i.e. a lift.
Absolutely.
And I think dumbwaiters were also very unusual at this
They were in
period
those days, yeah.
I mean, that seems incredible. Also, one of the other things, one of the viewers has phoned in and said, this thing about a proud man in room 10. Can you shed any light
Well, straight away,
on
I
that?
obviously had a wander around the place earlier, and I went to see room 10, and it was a very big, very grand room, and everyone said, oh, it must be a suite. It's not, because the lift is there. It's the staff quarters. I think it was the manager's office.
We shall find out.
Yes.
Let's go back now to Yvette, who's still in the opium den.
OK, well, here we are. We're still down here in the basement in the opium den. And I think now would be a good time, don't you think, chaps, to turn the lights off?
Yes.
OK.
Yeah.
So can we turn the lights off, please? There you go. All the lights have gone off. Now, I've got my own little camera here, which is quite handy. And basically, if we're all quiet, I know it's quite tricky for everybody, but if you can sort of stand quite still, because when a lot of people are in here, you can generate dust by moving your feet or by any fibres on your coat, and then a lot of people think that, oh, that's orbs, and it isn't.
Yes.
A lot of time it is clothing fibres and, of course, dust. So maybe, I don't know, if we sort of have a wander around and if you guys can keep as still as you possibly can. You never know, we might pick something up on this camera. It is quite spooky, actually, having hearing the trains going past, isn't it?
Yes.
Adds to the rumble.
Who?
Who are you picking up, Derek?
Right. Thank you, Sam. There's a man. Is that the man, Sam? Right? Yeah. Edward? Edward? Edward Larkins. Larkin? Edward Larkin or Larkins?
No, is this the man
with
the water?
Drowned. Yes. And, yes. And Catherine, the female, and Catherine Hoyes. Edward, what? Yes. Edward was some form of servant. Yes. Catherine didn't belong. She doesn't come down here. She doesn't come down here, but she meets up with him in the manner in which they lost their physical lives. She belongs up. She belongs up. Thank you, Sam. She belongs up. Can you give me a mental image, please? Yes? A maid. She was linked as a maid. A maid.
To him.
I'm not sure whether she was a maid to him or she was a maid whilst Edward was doing his work here.
So they knew of each other?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's why. But, you know, it's the most unusual and, to me, craziest way. How can they... Both of these two lost their lives in some form of drowning.
Here, in this property?
Yes.
OK.
Without a
David,
doubt.
back to you.
Richard Felix, can you shed any light on that? We're talking about this thing not being there, shouldn't be there. Upstairs, downstairs,
yes,
maid,
I think
servant?
there is a ghost of a lady, and she did not work here. I believe she was a maid to someone else that was actually staying here.
An illicit affair?
I think it's highly likely, because I know for a fact that this lady was pregnant.